I'd like to introduce Brian from Canada, who takes LDN for Hailey-Hailey's disease. Thank you for joining me, Brian.
Oh, thank you.
Could you tell me when you first started to notice that there was something wrong with your skin?
I was probably about 23, 24 years old when I started to get little things on my neck where my collar would rub. I was in a job that I had to wear a tight collar, and I started to get these little marks on my skin, and then within short order a bit under the arms.
Mm-hmm. Did it take long to be diagnosed?
It took about, let me see, it was probably about 5 or 6 years after that I moved to another province and went and saw a doctor about it, and he was smart enough to do a biopsy right away and came back and told me what it was, but that didn't mean anything because I had no idea what it was at that time.
Mm-hmm. And what treatment did he give you?
He was going to put me on steroids and then decided not to, and I think, boy, that's 40 some years ago. I got to think now, what did we do? I think we tried some different types of cream at that point. It was later on when I moved back to where I lived for about 30 years that I went to a dermatologist and started a few different types of cream, and finally ended up on a betamethasone and light treatments, the Puva light. Yeah.
So in that long period of time, did the Hailey-Hailey's disease advance where it was spreading to other areas?
Oh yeah. It got to the point where the problem with the dermatologist, and this is a real bugbear for me, is that he didn't treat the resulting infection. He tried to treat the Hailey-Hailey's, and it was the infections that was, like everybody gets, the secondary infections and the staph infections. Never did a swab, nothing like that. And it wasn't until just the last few years here that after my son got it, and we were discussing it one day, and of course going on to the different websites and stuff like that, and seeing people talk about secondary infections, that I finally got a swab done, and of course had staph infection. And I suffered for years, crippling, in the groin, underarms, back of the legs, mainly. Under the arms, back of the legs, and in the groin, where at points you couldn't even walk, and I'd spend 4 or 5 days flat on my back in bed, and overcome it by just I guess the body just fought it itself, but never getting any other treatment for it, because I didn't realize that it was. I thought it was Hailey-Hailey's. I didn't think it was the secondary infections.
Mm-hmm. And what about pain? Were you in a lot of pain?
Oh, tremendous amount of pain. And people have asked me, how do you cope? And I said, well, you learn to block it out after a while. Right? You have to live with the pain. It's just one of those things that the old mind over matter type of thing.
And just out of curiosity, because of the people I've spoken to with the Hailey-Hailey's disease, it seems to be in folds of skin, like underarms, where your elbow is, and behind your knees. Does it ever affect people behind the ears?
Yeah, I'll get it behind the ears on occasion. I actually had a little spot here the other day, back of my neck, back of my legs. Matter of fact, here just before I started LDN, my back was one of the first times that my back had ever been that bad. My back was just covered. I looked like, as my partner said to me, she said, you look like somebody's poked you with a knife all over your body.
Oh.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And so when I went and saw the dermatologist here and took him all the stuff on LDN, he, of course, had, I got that same, I don't know, that. And I said, well, look, can you research it? And I said, I'll be straight up with you. If you don't give it to me, I'll find it somewhere else. I said, I don't care if you don't. That's your prerogative, but I'll find it somewhere else. And he said, okay, let me look into it. And he said just what you asked. He says, how do you cope? And I said, you just learn to live with the pain. And he kind of shrugged at that. He pulled back because I don't think he realized quite how hard it is on a person, how hard Hailey-Hailey's can be. I tried, just aside from that, I tried through our Canadian disability pension to get a disability pension, and they wouldn't okay it. And because here you have to be able to not walk, not see, or have a limb missing or something like that. And I think that's very unfortunate, because I know here in Canada, people that have Hailey-Hailey's, I mean, it's it doesn't matter where you are, it's very difficult to work. I've been at the point where my Hailey-Hailey's is so bad I can't work. You can't move. The pain is just unbearable. And but then you get over it. But anyway, the dermatologist here finally sent me a letter and okayed it, and I have to go back and see him here, I think, in February. And it's I'm sure happy with what's happening.
So what happened when you got your prescription? Did you have any initial side effects?
Yeah, I started out at 1.5, and the little bit of the vivid dream. I wish nobody would have said anything, because it would have been interesting to see if I had noticed that. Whether you just think, oh, hey, yeah. But a couple of days of very, very vivid. I mean, living color. It was unbelievable. And I kind of find that sometimes I take it usually around 10 o'clock in the evening, and I'll wake up sometimes at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I think I could probably get up. I just feel totally ready to go. But I just know that if I do that, then after about 3 or 4 days, I have to have a really good rest. And when I bumped it up to 3, which I do now, I just take 3 milligrams. I don't see much there wasn't any. The side effects didn't increase in any way, shape, or form. And I only went 2 weeks on the one and bumped it up because I was in such bad shape. I thought, I don't care. I'm going to take this. I'm going to see what happens.
So how long did it take before you noticed an improvement?
It was about a month, a little over a month.
And would you say your pain levels were the first thing to decrease, or would you say the actual Hailey-Hailey's would
No,
decrease?
the Hailey-Hailey's, it just, everything started, the scabs all started to dry up in the skin. And, it's an amazing thing. I don't understand Hailey-Hailey's that much, other than the fact, they talk about the calcium pump and all that. But our skin seems to clear, when it starts to clear, really, really fast. And I noticed somebody the other day say something about when you have a cut or something like that, it seems to take a long time to heal. But our Hailey-Hailey's, sometimes mine will heal almost overnight.
Oh.
It's crazy. I just had some here the other day, and within 2 days it was healed and gone. You would never have known there was anything there.
So how long have you been taking LDN?
I started at the beginning, just at the end of November, so about the 27th of November.
Wow. You've had such a good response so quickly. So if you had to have said your pain levels on a score of 1 to 10, and 10 being the highest before you started LDN, what would you have said it would be mainly?
On a bad day?
Yeah, on a bad day.
On a bad day, it was probably 9.5.
Really? That's bad.
Yeah.
And what would you say on a bad day now?
Maybe a 1.
Really?
Yeah.
1, wow.
Yeah, no, it's night and day for me. It's been night and day.
And what about your skin?
It's good. I've got a few little spots. Like I say, I just had a small outbreak the other day. I don't attribute. You still have to do your cleansing and keeping clean and making sure your diet is proper. And I do Epsom salt baths, and I clean with over here. We don't have that HIPIC cleanse that everybody gets at Stanhexidine. is a Canadian product. I use that. I use Polysporin, which I think in the U.S. is Neosporin. I don't know if you can get Polysporin in Britain or not, but it's very, very good. I use it. It's you can get it over the counter, and I use that a lot. It's got about 3 antibiotics in it, and vitamin E, and a bit of pain relief. Especially when you start to itch somewhere, you put it on, and it really gets rid of the itch. So, I don't expect the LDN. Like we all know, it's not a cure, but it sure helps. And you can't expect it to do everything and stop all the other stuff like not eating sugar. And I think what happened is, of course, over Christmas we all get a little carried away, and the chocolates are out there and different things like that. And I don't know if you noticed, but my son just posted on the Hailey-Hailey site there that he's a type A, blood type A, and he's been following the diet, and he hasn't had any since last spring, I think, not a spot, and he's not on LDN even, and so I've just looked into I've got to find out what my blood type is and look into things, because going through blood type and blood type diets, I eat just about everything there, and there should be some things that I think I might want to start to give up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is it's such an amazing story. It would be very good if next year we did a follow-up to see how you're getting on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I go on the site just about every day, and I really empathize with the people that are having the serious problems. But I mean, I've been there and done that, and been at my wit's end sometimes, thinking, you don't want to live anymore. It's too hard. You can't socialize. You can't do anything. You used to stink to high heaven when the infections got bad, and it was humiliating to be in that position. So I certainly empathize with them. But on the other side of the scale is that you keep fighting and you keep looking for that one thing that'll work for you. And I've tried lots of different things that different people have said there on the sites, and nothing nothing really jumped out. So I just have my own little things that I do that seem to work, and I hope some of them will work for other people as well, and I know some things work for some and some don't work for others. There's no doubt about that.
What does your doctor say?
Pardon me?
Have you been back to see your doctor yet?
No, I'm going probably in February. I'll be. He wanted me to go 3 months and then come in and see him, so it'll be in February.
Well, that will be interesting to see what he thinks.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Brian.
No problem.